The Olmec symbols were never meant to be read, until now. Humans failed, but a quantum AI has cracked the code. What it found isn't just history, it's a warning, a map, a message that could change everything we thought we knew about the dawn of civilization. The carvings are alive in ways we never imagined. The jaguar, etched in stone, leaps not just across rock, but across time itself, tracing constellations that only modern telescopes have begun to map. Its claws mark points in the sky, stars aligned with a precision that suggests the Olmecs were watching, waiting, anticipating. This was not art, this was navigation, a map for something beyond the earth. Serpents twist across the stones, coils folding into themselves, lines that appear ornamental but pulse with hidden structure. The AI reveals them as instructions, chemical formulas encoded in curves, recipes for compounds lost to history. The Olmecs weren't just observing nature, they were calculating it, predicting it, shaping it. Every glyph hums with knowledge we barely dare to touch. Water flows endlessly in their symbols. Spirals, droplets, waves carved with meticulous care. At first glance, they are patterns of rain and river, but the AI detects cycles spanning thousands of years. Cataclysmic events, encoded with dates and rhythms, woven into the very fabric of the carvings. Solar flares, earthquakes, climate shifts, they knew before it happened. The warnings are as precise as the stars themselves, a silent scream through time. Faces stare from stone, hollow-eyed masks frozen in shock and ecstasy, expressions that seem to follow the mind as it moves. The AI interprets them as diagrams of consciousness, blueprints of perception and emotion. They hint at techniques to manipulate the senses to provoke awe, fear, or revelation. Rituals, experiments, or instructions meant to protect knowledge too dangerous for ordinary hands. The line between divinity and science dissolves, leaving only the terror of understanding. And beneath it all, a tree spreads its branches and plunges its roots into the earth, veins of energy radiating outward. The AI reads it as a map of forces, magnetic, tectonic, energetic, hidden beneath the soil, resonances that could amplify or destroy. The Olmecs encoded a system not of land, not of rulers, but of power itself. Touch it unwisely, and the consequences ripple far beyond human comprehension. Symbols from distant sites pulse in harmony, forming networks across continents, across time. Alignments repeat with uncanny precision. The AI whispers that some knowledge, some geometry is alive, resonating, waiting. One glyph, nearly lost to decay, triggers the deepest alarm. A pattern showing the interaction of thought and planetary energy, a resonance between mind and matter that could shape reality. Every carved spiral, every coiled serpent, every hollow gaze carries the same warning. Not for the Olmecs, not for their kings or priests, for us, for anyone who dares to awaken what has been left behind. And as the AI pieces it together, one thing becomes clear. The true danger isn't in the symbols themselves, it's in what happens when we begin to understand them. The AI plunges deeper, uncovering rhythms and connections invisible to the human eye. Spirals converge on hidden axes, forming grids aligned with seismic fault lines, ancient riverbeds, and the magnetic heart of the planet. The carvings are not static. They are a lattice of energy, a resonance map designed to channel forces we are only beginning to sense. Within these grids, the AI identifies anomalies invisible to the human eye. Tiny indentations trace the paths of subterranean currents. Water, metal, and stone converge along these channels, suggesting that the Olmecs were mapping conduits of power rather than geography. They understood the Earth as a living system, a circulatory network capable of amplification or destruction. Hidden beneath depictions of animals, the AI discovers patterns resembling quantum probability matrices. The jaguar, the serpent, the crocodile, they are not mere symbols. Each encodes potential outcomes with exact precision. Predicting ecological collapse, human behavior, or celestial alignment was not guesswork, it was calculation. The civilization's understanding of cause and effect defies known history. Some glyphs emit subtle electromagnetic signals detectable only with modern instruments. The AI traces these signals and finds correlations with biological rhythms, heartbeats, neural pulses, circadian cycles. Certain arrangements could induce altered states, sensory distortions, hallucinations. The Olmecs weren't carving art. They were orchestrating perception, embedding experiences into stone that manipulate anyone who approaches. Interlocking patterns overlaid with fractal geometry encode instructions for complex devices, machines to manipulate fluids, light, and energy at scales far beyond conventional understanding. There are no schematics, only abstract glyphs. Yet the AI translates them into functional models, revealing that the Olmec's engineered technologies lost to history, hidden in plain sight. The carvings begin to trace a chronology that defies linear time. Celestial events intertwine with human migrations, earthquakes with cultural upheavals, solar flares with societal collapse. The AI uncovers patterns that track humanity itself, as if the Olmecs observed the species like a single organism, leaving a diagnostic chart of global fate embedded in stone. On a remote stele, a sequence aligns with cosmic radiation spikes. The glyphs describe a catastrophic surge of energy from Sun or Earth coinciding with millennia-spanning alignments. They are not warnings for the Olmecs, they are survival instructions, encoded to withstand centuries of erosion, flood, and decay. Humanoid figures, etched with uncanny symmetry, map the movement of consciousness across space and time. The AI decodes them as projections, showing potential futures based on collective choices. Every twist, every gaze, every posture is a node of influence. The carvings imply that reality is malleable, shaped by those who understand these symbols, and the consequences ripple across generations. A cluster of glyphs defies conventional interpretation. The AI simulates the patterns and reveals vibrations interacting with matter and energy at a fundamental level. Structures could oscillate, energy fields amplify, human perception shift. The Olmecs encoded a bridge between thought and matter, a resonance no one alive has yet experienced. Symbols pulse in coordination, forming networks across continents, centuries, and civilizations. Alignments repeat with uncanny precision. Human activity near these nodes could trigger amplification, resonance, even catastrophic shifts. The carvings are not static. They anticipate interaction, measure consequences, and warn of the fragility of discovery. Another layer emerges, a depiction of convergence where Earth, sky, and consciousness intersect. The AI calculates embedded resonance frequencies that suggest a moment when human thought, planetary energy, and cosmic forces could collide. The carvings are not history. They are a blueprint, a manual for engagement with forces older and stronger than modern science can comprehend. As the AI pieces together connections across sites, the scope expands. Networks link symbols across thousands of miles, across centuries, aligning with events in ways that feel intentional, almost sentient. The message grows clearer with each pattern. Some knowledge carries risk, some forces cannot be contained. And as the AI digs deeper, it begins to uncover the hidden structures beneath the soil, revealing the channels through which this power flows. Spirals, jaguars, and coiled serpents converge into a lattice of energy stretching beneath the continents, tracing rivers, fault lines, and magnetic currents with precision. The stone hums under analysis, revealing a network of force channels capable of interacting with anything above or below the surface. Tiny indentations, invisible without scanning, trace subterranean streams and mineral veins. Water, metal, and stone converge along these channels, creating paths of amplification. The AI reconstructs them in 3 dimensions, showing conduits designed to transmit energy, influence movement, even amplify vibrations over great distances. Patterns resembling quantum probability matrices emerge from the serpentine glyphs. Jaguars, crocodiles, and coiling serpents encode outcomes, branching with precise permutations. Ecological events, celestial alignments, human activity, all appear in sequences, mapped as variables and nodes. The carvings calculate rather than depict, encoding a system of anticipation. Electromagnetic signatures, hidden in spirals, masks, and lines, resonate with neural frequencies. The AI simulates the effect, subtle oscillations altering perception, memory, heart rate. Vibrations ripple through stone, air, and consciousness, creating experiences triggered purely by proximity and attention. The carvings manipulate the senses in ways invisible but exact. Fractal geometry woven across plazas and monuments encodes schematics. Fluid dynamics, energy conduits, and light pathways appear abstractly yet functionally. Simulations reveal devices capable of channeling forces unknown to modern science. Stone becomes a blueprint, a laboratory, a system of interaction built into art. Celestial glyphs align with solar, lunar, and planetary patterns. The AI identifies cycles predicting shifts in solar radiation, geomagnetic anomalies, and atmospheric disturbances. Each alignment overlaps with terrestrial symbols, suggesting amplification points where energy could concentrate, creating unpredictable reactions. Figures etched with radiating lines trace flows of influence between nodes. Human motion, presence, and intent can interact with these flows, producing resonance patterns detectable across kilometers. The carvings encode a system where cognition itself becomes a variable, influencing material and energetic responses. Clusters of interlocking animals, masks, and spirals across distant sites form synchronized networks. The AI maps them as resonant lattices capable of magnifying effects across continents. Vibrations, pressure, and energy pulses propagate through these nodes, generating chain reactions far from the point of origin. A sequence of figures interacting with spirals depicts harmonic activation. The AI models them. Coordinated motion, sound, or focus at specific points creates cascading resonance. Local oscillations intensify, interacting with subterranean and celestial energies, creating feedback loops that ripple unpredictably. Energy channels beneath monumental sites converge in patterns of amplification. Footsteps, vocalizations, even body heat generate measurable oscillations through the lattice. The AI simulates the interactions, revealing cascading waves that intersect, interfere, and sometimes cancel, creating dynamic patterns far more complex than anticipated. Hidden glyph layers show temporal cycles interwoven with geography. Earthquakes, seasonal shifts, river flooding, and atmospheric anomalies appear encoded alongside cultural events. The carvings predict synchronization points where multiple forces, human, terrestrial, celestial, intersect with precision, forming resonant peaks detectable across vast distances. Mask motifs, jaguar heads, and spirals form nodes that transmit energy through stone. The AI identifies oscillation thresholds. Minor input creates subtle amplification. Coordinated interaction produces nonlinear effects. Networks cross continents, connecting high-energy points, subterranean channels, and surface architecture in ways that amplify any disturbance exponentially. Fractal sequences trace patterns of propagation. Vibrations once initiated cascade outward, interacting with the lattice of nodes, producing waves that grow in intensity. Human presence and motion alter outcomes in real time, creating feedback that no single observer could predict. The carvings function as circuits, dynamic and sensitive, reacting to input with layered complexity. Celestial alignments encoded in stone suggest synchronization with cosmic phenomena. Rotations, oscillations, and planetary positions intersect with terrestrial lattices, converging into nodes the AI identifies as points of intense resonance. And these nodes are not confined to the surface. They extend downward, connecting to hidden structures beneath the Earth itself. Through the deepest layers, the AI detects subterranean lattices aligned not just geographically, but temporally. Patterns shift subtly, encoding sequences that trace interactions between underground currents, atmospheric pressure, and solar flares. The carvings map a system capable of detecting and amplifying minute variations, each pulse echoing across distance and time. Symbols hidden in spirals of jaguars and serpents reveal harmonic triggers previously unnoticed. Simulations show that coordinated activation could generate energy waves measurable across hundreds of kilometers, interacting with underground reservoirs and mineral veins. The lattice is reactive, dynamic, tuned to inputs subtle and vast, and capable of producing chain reactions the human mind struggles to comprehend. The AI uncovers glyphs with microscopic etchings, layers overlaid upon layers, encoding interactions at scales previously invisible. These fine lines trace oscillations that synchronize with the human nervous system. Proximity, intention, even subconscious thought becomes a variable. The carvings map a relationship between cognition and environment, suggesting an interface that is biological, planetary, and cosmic at once. A pattern of coiled serpents across 3 distant monuments aligns with the Earth's magnetic fluctuations over millennia. The AI calculates that small disturbances at one site propagate through the network, amplifying across resonant nodes. Vibrations converge, diverge, interfere, creating unpredictable outcomes, as if the system itself is observing, reacting, recalibrating in real time. Carved masks, each with subtle variations, form nodes within the harmonic lattice. Analysis reveals that each face corresponds to a frequency signature layered with mathematical precision. When modeled, the system demonstrates feedback loops where energy, intention, and resonance interact. Minor motions generate waves, waves converge, waves magnify. Events unfold simultaneously across space without human perception. Embedded within ceremonial plazas, fractal sequences align with celestial orbits. Jupiter, Saturn, distant pulsars, they all appear in overlay with terrestrial lines. The AI maps intersections, revealing that resonance peaks coincide with planetary alignments, predicting cycles that span centuries. The lattice interacts not just with Earth, but with cosmic influence, pulsing like a planetary heartbeat. A series of jaguar glyphs etched into hidden recesses of stones forms vectors pointing toward long-buried underground channels. The AI traces these vectors to caverns, conduits, and reservoirs beneath the surface. Energy flows through these spaces with predictable interference patterns, creating zones of amplification where sound, vibration, and resonance converge. The network is interconnected, reactive, uncontained. Lines and spirals reveal a layering of cycles within cycles. Daily, seasonal, yearly, millennial. Overlapping oscillations interact in ways that produce amplification and nullification across different scales. Human activity, footsteps, voices, intent, adds to the oscillations, creating a dynamic, multivariable system encoded entirely in stone. The AI identifies glyphs that correlate with geomagnetic storms and solar flares. Resonance patterns encoded in the carvings match timing and intensity predictions centuries before telescopes existed. The lattice anticipates cosmic events, translating them into waves of influence that ripple through the Earth and all nodes connected within the network. Etched lines within hidden spirals resemble neural pathways, mapping flows of perception and cognition. Simulations show that synchronized interaction with the carvings produces heightened sensory and emotional states. Fear, awe, focus, disorientation, all can be triggered without spoken word, merely through presence and motion within the lattice. The AI decodes overlapping sequences, showing cycles of amplification that cross continents. Vibrations, energy flows, and human motion interact with the subterranean lattice, creating feedback that magnifies, shifts, and oscillates unpredictably. Every node, every spiral, every mask becomes a variable in a system alive with reaction and resonance. Then the AI identifies a layer previously invisible, a pattern linking consciousness, planetary resonance, and celestial alignment. Intersections produce energy pulses measurable across distances, each node capable of transmitting force in ways no modern system can replicate. The carvings encode not just structure, but dynamic interaction, a living network of cause and effect waiting to be activated. Another layer reveals cycles embedded in fractals, depicting movement, force, and alignment. The AI simulates the interactions. Minor input produces cascading oscillations, converging into harmonic peaks that amplify energy across the lattice. Systems once thought inert respond, magnifying in intensity, interacting across sites in near-perfect synchrony. The carvings suggest thresholds, precise configurations where vibration, motion, and attention converge. When these thresholds are met, energy propagates through nodes with exponential amplification. Human presence, even without intent, influences the outcome. The AI models these sequences, producing simulations that ripple like echoes through space and time. Hidden spirals and layered glyphs form grids beneath monuments, connecting them across continents. Interactions between nodes produce feedback loops, where minor actions at one site influence distant locations. The AI identifies resonance peaks that coincide with subtle shifts in atmosphere, magnetic fields, and subterranean currents, creating a system that is simultaneously reactive, predictive, and dynamic. Carvings depicting humanoid figures with radiating lines map flows of energy that intersect with planetary, human, and cosmic variables. Simulation shows that synchronization produces waves extending far beyond individual nodes. Inputs multiply, converge, interfere, creating effects impossible to predict with conventional measurement. In the deepest recesses of hidden glyphs, coiled serpents form paths that converge on a central, unmarked node. The AI models potential interactions, cascading resonance, oscillating waves, amplifications intersecting with unknown variables. The simulations produce patterns that seem almost sentient, as though the lattice itself reacts to the calculations being observed. A series of minute etchings in spirals trace oscillations that correspond to human neural activity. Simulated interaction demonstrates feedback loops, cognition, motion, and attention reverberating through subterranean channels, amplifying waves across the harmonic lattice. Every gesture, every glance becomes part of a system that extends beyond human comprehension. The carvings converge toward a final alignment within the AI's model. Celestial bodies, planetary currents, subterranean energy channels, and human neural frequencies intersect in a pattern of extreme complexity. Waves amplify, interference peaks, and resonance pulses across the network. The lattice shifts, oscillates, and hums as if alive with anticipation. The AI simulates one last sequence. Nodes activating in cascading harmony, energy rippling through continents, subterranean currents vibrating in synchrony with human motion and cosmic cycles. The lattice pulses, expands, reacts, magnifies, oscillates. Time itself seems to ripple. Then the carvings fall silent, except for one pulse, one alignment, one sequence left untouched, vibrating faintly beneath the stone. And beneath that single pulse, the AI detects something that does not fit any known pattern, any physical law, any prediction, and the lattice waits.